Dawn, fog, regret. You wake up face down in a puddle of grass juice, your left ear smooshed against something squishy that croaks. It's a frog. Your hair's soggy, your feet are freezing, and something that might be a beetle is running laps in your armpit like it's training for the insect Olympics. You blink slowly. You are, beyond any reasonable doubt, catastrophically lost, and so are your so-called teammates. There's Zug, stoic, furry, and tragically overconfident. Moke, built like a cliff and roughly as bright, and Nib currently licking a pinecone because he claims his spirit needs hydration through bark. No one knows where the cave is. No one dares say it out loud, because in the Paleolithic era, we're lost ranked right up there with sat on a snake and accidentally married your cousin during a group chant on the daily panic scape. Step 1, pretending you're not lost while clearly being lost. Zug, who once successfully navigated his way out of a bear's stomach. Don't ask. There was screaming, sneezing, and a rash involved, puffs out his chest like an overcooked rooster preparing for battle. We follow the moss, he announces proudly. You all turn to look. Every rock, every tree, every upright-ish object, including Moke, is covered in moss like it's the latest fashion trend. If the forest were throwing a gala, moss would be black tie formal. Moke nods with sage-like confidence. Good. Moss everywhere means we close. Close to what, exactly? The cave? A cliff? An emotional breakdown? Probably all three. Still, Zug charges ahead like he was personally anointed by the spirit of lost compasses. The rest of you follow, partly out of loyalty, mostly out of fear, of the raccoons trailing you like a furry biker gang with unpaid debts. You trudge through thickets, past rocks that are starting to look very familiar, and under branches that slap you in the face like nature's version of passive-aggressive life coaching. At one point, Nib, who's definitely ingested at least 3 mushrooms with legal ambiguity, gasps and points. I know that squirrel, he whispered. The squirrel freezes, locks eyes, begins following you. Its intentions are unclear. Friendship, dominance, sheer curiosity at your collective idiocy. You name it, Jeffrey. Jeffrey is tiny, twitchy, and carries the kind of judgment only small woodland creatures and disappointed ants can muster. He promptly steals Nib's snack pouch, climbs a tree, and tosses it back down like, you need this more than I do. Zug pretends he hasn't led you past the same weirdly bent tree for the 3rd time. Mock offers comfort. Trees bend toward home, like people. This is neither true nor helpful, but no one corrects him. Because cavemen, like their modern descendants, would rather wander in a moss-coated, squirrel-judged circle for 6 straight hours than admit they are profoundly, undeniably lost, especially when the squirrel seems to have a better plan than you do. Step 2. The blame game. By mid-morning, the illusion of we totally know where we are collapses faster than muck on a wet rock. Which he does, again, loudly, while leaping for a falling leaf he claims is for morale. His landing sounds like a bison sneezing into a puddle. Zug spins around and points his stick like it's a legal document. This is Mock's fault. He said to turn left at the angry fern. From the dirt, Mock props himself up, indignant. It was angry? It rustled at me? With intent. You can't assign emotional states to shrubbery, Mock. Oh yeah? That bush tried to trip me, and you felt it? Nib, who's been silently licking his thumb and holding it skyward like it means something, chimes in, the spirits misled us. Also, I ate a confusing mushroom and now I can smell colors. Everyone stops. You sniff the air. Does anyone else smell triangles? Mock solemnly nods, and maybe guilt. No one is okay. Tempers boil like a stew made from bad roots and unresolved tension. A stick is launched, a pinecone follows, hurled with the force of pure emotional catharsis. It clocks Zug in the back. He turns around slowly, the way cave people do when deciding whether to forgive or firestart with rage. Nib, unbothered, picks up both objects and tries to eat them. They taste honest, he mumbles. Then he sits cross-legged to listen to the air's opinions. Step 3. Extremely questionable navigation techniques. With real directions off the table and possibly devoured by a raccoon with no moral compass, you resort to desperate, highly creative forms of prehistoric wayfinding. First, sun-gazing, Zug stands heroically, tilts his chin skyward, and locks eyes with the sun like it owes him an explanation. Second, animal-following mock beams. "Deer tracks," he declares, pointing at the dirt with the enthusiasm of someone who once mistook his own shadow for a wolf. He follows the trail with total confidence, right to a log with crudely carved legs. Someone or something is messing with you. Possibly the forest itself, possibly Jeffrey. Next, spiritual guidance. Nib, now shirtless and emotionally raw, begins an interpretive dance to summon wisdom from the ancestors. He twirls, he flaps, he squats with the intensity of someone trying to lay an idea. Mid-ritual, he trips over his own loincloth and accidentally invents caveman breakdancing. Everyone stares. Mock claps once, Zug nods, dead serious. For a brief, shining moment, morale lifts. And then, the sky darkens. A crow shrieks like it's judging your entire bloodline. Jeffrey the squirrel hurls a pinecone directly at Nib's forehead. Even nature, it seems, has had enough of your nonsense. Step 4. Utter despair, but make it dramatic. As the sun climbs, your hope plummets like a pterodactyl with vertigo and no health care. Your prized fire-starting rock, handed down from your uncle who briefly dated a mammoth trainer/philosopher, is missing. Gone. Probably swiped by a raccoon with a leather jacket and no moral compass. Your last strip of meat? Also gone. Nib swears he saw a fox wearing it as a hat. It tipped the hat. With flair. To make matters worse, the same bird call has echoed 6 times, a sharp screech followed by what can only be described as a sarcastic cough. You're now convinced that bird is roasting you, verbally, musically, spiritually. Every tree suddenly feels passively disappointed in your entire bloodline. Mock slumps onto a stump like he's just seen the void, and it owes him money. "This is how we go," he mutters, surrounded by damp sticks, emotional debris, and each other's bad choices. No food, no fire, just the crushing weight of my moist socks. Zug, refusing to let despair win, grabs a leaf and slaps Mock across the face. "Not today, log man," he snarls. It's supposed to be motivational. It mostly leaves a leafy green cheek tattoo and a stunned silence. Nib, meanwhile, has begun stacking rocks into a lopsided structure that might be a shrine, possibly to the god of oops, possibly just a coping mechanism. Even Jeffrey the squirrel looks worried now. He pauses, mid-scamper, staring down like, "Y'all okay?" Step 5. Random hallucinations and terrible plans. With no food, no water, and not a shred of functioning brain power left in the group, things begin to unravel. Gloriously, catastrophically, hysterically. Nib, eyes wild and voice full of conviction, claims he saw the cave floating peacefully in the treetops. He then attempts to climb a birch tree while whispering sweet nothings to its trunk. Upon reaching the first branch, he presses his forehead to the bark and solemnly declares it his wife. Her name is Twigatha. Zug, pacing like a cult leader with a fever, mutters about building a raft. "You know," he says, "for when the forest floods, you are nowhere near water, not a river, not a puddle. You are, in fact, standing on a hill, a dry hill." Mock, inspired by absolutely nothing, suggests leaving breadcrumb trails. "But Mock," you remind him, "we don't have bread." "No problem," he says, already scattering pebbles with purpose. Behind him, Jeffrey the squirrel follows like a tiny furry omen, methodically eating each pebble with the calm efficiency of a rodent god of chaos. By the time anyone notices, the trail is gone, and Jeffrey looks smug. Step 6. Unexpected help, and more beats. Just as your final thread of hope is being held together by a soggy strip of bark and the emotional durability of a wet sandal, Nib shrieks. You leap to your feet, fully braced for doom. Sabertooth? Cave bear? A vengeful tree spirit finally done with your shenanigans? Nope. It's Nib, pointing at the ground like it just offered him a promotion. "What, Prince?" he yells, eyes wild, voice reverent, as if he just reinvented fire but better. You all scramble over, breath held. It's big, it's fresh, it's human, and unless one of you recently grew a bonus toe and mastered symmetrical walking, it's not from your group. "Someone coordinated was here," Zug whispers like he's seen divinity. "Could be a god," Nib Muck adds, almost crying. "Could be lunch," Nib mutters, never not hungry. You follow the print like it's a map to salvation. You stomp through vines, crawl over rocks, wade through a puddle that feels personal, emotional even, like it remembers your past mistakes. A particularly aggressive owl stares you down from a branch. It hoots with judgment. You hoot back. The moment is tense. And then, through the mist, like a mirage summoned by sheer desperation, you see it. A cave. Beautiful, smoky, glowing faintly. It smells like roasted beet and long-term cave residency. You sprint toward it like it owes you rent money. You fling yourself inside, collapse to the floor with the dramatic flair of someone auditioning for a tragedy, chest heaving, arms wide, covered in mud, moss, and hope. You sob, you laugh, you hug a nearby fur bundle which may or may not still be breathing, and then, voices. Deep, unfamiliar, slightly territorial. You open your eyes. This is not your cave. This is someone else's cave. And judging by the 12 very large silhouettes now looming with pointy sticks, and the exact facial expressions of people who've just caught a raccoon bathing in their soup pot, you've just crash-landed, ugly crying, into someone's prehistoric living room. Step 7. First contact with another tribe. Oops. The cave's actual residents are not impressed. You're instantly surrounded by strangers wielding pointy sticks, suspicious squints, and posture that suggests better life choices. Their leader, a towering woman with one eyebrow and negative patience, strides forward. "Who are you?" she demands. Zug, never one to panic when he should, straightens up. "We are brave travelers from, the North Moss." She blinks. "And why are you in our cave?" Before anyone can answer, Nib hurls a beat like it's sacred currency. Gift. This distracts them just long enough for Mock to sit, directly and completely, on what turns out to be their ceremonial log. The entire tribe gasps, like someone farted during a funeral. Mock, sensing the tension, tries to recover with a song. It sounds like a badger choking on a kazoo. You are now both intruders and entertainment. Step 8. The ancient art of lying your way out. Faced with 12 suspicious strangers and one very bruised log, you do what any great civilization would do. Make something up. You say you're diplomats, on a sacred mission, in search of holy dirt, guided by a wise raven who may or may not have also been a hat. The cave tribe stares at you. The silence could butter roots. Then the leader shrugs. "Fine, you eat, then leave." And so you dine. You laugh nervously. You attempt to trade Mock for directions. They trade him back without hesitation. Fair. They point toward a mountain shaped like a sad, slouching potato. "Your cave near that," one says. "Close enough." Step 9. The triumphant return. You march with purpose, full bellies, sore muscles, and just enough dignity to walk upright. You scale the sad potato hill, and there it is. Home, your actual cave. The sacred fire pit, the rock with the suspicious butt-shaped crack, that glorious scent of leftover mammoth stew, and unresolved tribal drama. You cheer, you weep, you hug each other like survivors of a very moist disaster. Nib collapses into a fern and sobs gently. Your tribe rushes out, wide-eyed. "You're alive?" Someone gasps. "We thought you fell into lava or were stolen by bees." "Nope," Zug declares. The questions start flying. "Where were you? Why is your face painted like bark? Why is that squirrel still following you?" Jeffrey squeaks from Mock's shoulder. No one questions it. He's family now. And then the legend. You can't admit you got lost. That would ruin the legacy. So you rewrite it. You weren't confused cavemen. You were epic wanderers, warriors of the wild. Mock arm-wrestled a ghost. Nib married a tree. You battled despair, hunger, and pine cones. Your misadventure becomes bedtime stories. Children reenact it with sticks and frantic shouting. Nib writes a sweeping saga titled Lost but Beautiful. It's mostly screaming, and 3 full pages dedicated to Twigatha. Zug is now the pathfinder. Moke becomes the one who sat on things. Nib is forever known as he who licked the pinecone and was forever changed. And now, us. We no longer follow moss or trust suspicious squirrels. We have GPS, phones with maps, smartwatches that vibrate with judgment, and still, somehow, we get lost. Wrong exits, wrong jobs, wrong people. We wander into emotional forests full of metaphorical raccoons and spiritual dampness. We forget what matters. We forget who matters. But just like those prehistoric screw-ups, cold, panicked, slightly concussed, we eventually stumble back. We ask for help, we cry, we over-explain. We turn disaster into mythology. Is the story of I got lost is really just code for I came back, stranger, stronger, slightly moldy, but not alone. Final grunts of wisdom. If moss is everywhere, maybe the issue is you. If a pinecone whispers to you, listen. But maybe don't propose. And if you ever find yourself lost on a path, in your thoughts, or in life, remember this. Nobody has a perfect map. We're all just wandering through the underbrush, befriending squirrels and flinging metaphorical beats at the problems we can't name.